It is 1:02. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. NFL free agency continues, and the Titans have a new quarterback as they have inked Brandon Allen to a one-year deal. Allen was a backup in San Francisco last season, playing in one game, was the backup in Cincinnati when Brian Callahan was the offensive coordinator. In former Titans news, former first-round pick Adoree Jackson has signed with the Eagles to a one-year deal after he spent the last 4 seasons with the New York Giants. The SEC men's basketball tournament continues in downtown Nashville, and Auburn and Ole Miss are facing off as we speak. Auburn leads the Rebels by a score of 29-22 at the half, and the Vols will start their SEC tournament run against Texas in a game scheduled for 2:30. You can hear that right here on The Zone starting at 2 o'clock. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the conversation. Jackson's back in the studio manning the phones because we are out here at Bridgestone Arena for the SEC men's basketball tournament, where currently Auburn leads Ole Miss 29-22. Makes me sick to my stomach just to even say that. Because guess what? Roll Tide. That's why.
Oh my! What time they play today? Oh,
they play later tonight. So they got the primetime game because they're the best team in the SEC.
Oh, okay.
They saved the best for last.
Well, I don't know, man. What is Auburn ranked?
Doesn't matter. We just beat Auburn, so you know.
I think they're the number 1 seed in the entire tournament.
So here's what I determined since being here at the SEC tournament these last few days is by far a wide margin. Mm-hmm. University of Tennessee has not only the ugliest colors, but the ugliest apparel to choose from, apparently.
What?
Because all these people choose are ugly as crap. Shirts, hoodies, pullovers. It is. I've seen one good one, and it was like a clean white one, pullover, three-quarter
so you
zip.
just don't like orange?
Yeah, it's just. It looks
orange,
ridiculous.
Tennessee orange.
Yeah.
It's all just.
It looks like Lucas is wearing a zip up that he's had since the 90s.
Lucas, can you defend yourself, Lucas? He says your shirt. is horrible.
Where'd you get that? 1989.
Where did I get this that I'm wearing right now?
Look at it. It's hideous.
So you think whoever...
It's not only ugly, it's outdated.
You're telling me the person who picked this out has poor taste?
Yes.
This was gifted to me by one Blaine Bishop and Mickey Ryan.
Hey, listen, it was a gag gift,
birthday.
Obviously. It was a gag gift.
The amount of compliments I get on this.
Oh, my. I forgot that Oh, man. Oh, that is hilarious, man.
You're
such a hater on Tennessee, huh?
I will say this: the checkered overalls, those end up looking pretty good. I would say, but it's very limited on what apparel you could choose from if you're a University of Tennessee fan. That doesn't make you look like a dingus.
Oh my! What is your biggest apparel? Being an big time Alabama fan, what is your favorite gear to wear?
Pretty much this, because this is comfortable for football, for basketball. Just solid.
You don't wear the sports coat. You don't wear.
No, I have a
overalls.
Tennessee sports coat. No, I don't do the overall thing at all.
Okay.
I haven't done overalls since Oshkosh B'gosh back in the day.
Right.
So I haven't done overalls for a while.
I don't think I've ever owned a pair of overalls, unfortunately.
My dad wears overalls still now because when you go out to he has a small little river house, so out in Lobelville. So it's like a very, so you dress for comfort, and out there overalls are comfort.
Yeah. I learned to appreciate the overalls, though, man. And I don't know if I go with the blue jean one or do I want to have one with style, like a black one or a solid black, or I don't know. Kirby, what do you think? I know you look like an overall guy. No, you're
I'd
not
be
an
very
overall guy?
surprised if he didn't have overalls.
Kirby seemed like he would wear overalls
to
that
hide stuff.
Yeah. No, with the cut-off shorts
I
and
got
be
married
painting in your house.
I got married in a pair of black coveralls with
See?
a cover. No, I've never owned a pair.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather did. They're very popular on the farm.
Yes, that's what I
But I
said.
was a blue jeans guy. I didn't like that extra stuff.
Yeah. I think I purchased a pair when I with my first job, and I was a corn detasseler, and I wore it as a corn detasseler was my first job. I think I was 14. I might have been even.
So I think I know what a corn detasseler is. Well, why don't you explain what a corn detasseler is?
First and foremost, I'm pulling the corn off. Back then, you didn't have the machine since I'm so old.
So you're a mother shucker.
Yeah, I was somewhat that. And then, we got out there like, 4 or 5 a.m. And it was just kind of one of those gigs. But, I appreciate it because it taught me a little bit about hard work and what it takes to do some of those kind of jobs and appreciate what those people do. They go out there and, grow corn and have the patience, do the right things, and, to tassel the corn. So, Indiana, it's a lot of cornfields.
Yeah.
So
Do you think, Buck's from Indiana, do you think he
Buck
was
is
a
not
corn
from
detasseler?
Indiana. Buck is not from Indiana. Evansville is not part of Indiana.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like what some people say about Memphis. Memphis is not really part of Tennessee. Yeah, but that's how
That's
Evansville.
how Evansville is.
Yeah. I when he says that, I go, "You're not from Indiana."
Yeah. Could you imagine him being out in the fields
No.
detasseling corn?
No, not at all. Not at all. I've only been to Evansville actually a couple times. One at that time I was on a recruiting visit. At that time, I think they were a Division II football program, and I visited them to potentially go there. I was only recruited by Division II schools, Division II and III.
So here we are. We're here at our third different section in as many days. 107, 108.
I know. I blame
It's part of
Kirby.
the big SEC thing. Apparently, the weather was so bad right now that they had to bring in all the outside vendors inside.
Oh.
So, but luckily, Kirby did save us from seeing more orange because we were going to be right next to an Orange Crush vendor, and I was going to feel very attacked. I was going to have to file a complaint with HR. I was going to be triggered.
Man,
Too much orange.
Free Orange Crush? We would have
Now, I'll
gotten it.
drink it, but I don't want to see the
Oh,
orange.
but we have to be in the location. Oh, man, I wanted it. Yeah, you and Kirby must have been collaborating on that, man, the move. I wanted some free Orange Crush. Wouldn't you have been over that banana?
We can still get some. Joseph's just sitting here eating
I'm
almonds
not going to make him go get an Orange Crush. They moved it.
or cashews, whatever they are.
Cashews. Yeah, that way right there.
And you can just go down right over there and get us some.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm a cashew guy.
There you go. You just snack. You're like Lucas. You're a constant. In fact, I'm surprised Lucas let you have his chips.
Yeah. He said he's not a sour and onions guy. I said, okay, I'll just dispose of them.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So, just real quick. Obviously, we're only going to be here for the hour before University of Tennessee
people are
basketball
really
pregame.
upset,
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're
people are
very
really
upset
upset.
that they're not going to hear us for another hour.
Especially all your UT fans.
Yeah, I'm a huge UT fan. So, Corey
Well, that's
Levin
getting
gets
flipped.
signed.
Oh.
So we talked about this yesterday about having a backup, and I was like, okay, well, I think Corey Levin would be a guy that they would bring back.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought him back earlier. Justin Mello, friend of the show, was the one who never broke the news initially. So Corey Levin may end up being your day one starter at center if Cushenberry isn't to go. But this buys you at least time, even if Cushenberry thinks he's ready, to actually test and see if he is ready.
Yeah, I like signings like this because it doesn't rush the guy back, or you feel the pressure by the staff to have Cushenberry back there, because it could be a huge risk if he goes out there too soon, in which most athletes are at fault. They feel like they can do it, so I'm not going to say this to staff, but also the pressure, just, being around the guys,
Right.
and that you feel like, hey, I'm running around, so I should be able to play. So not to rush and get out there sooner than later, because then people don't understand. If he gets out there and he doesn't perform at the level that he was last year, he will be on a cutting block. He will get cut after this year if he doesn't play very well. I don't care how big of a signing it was 2 years ago, because then that would then be 2 years.
Right.
Max. So he better come back and make sure that he is ready to rock and roll.
Well, and especially if you have a rookie quarterback, you don't want. We already know that your left tackle has question marks to his game. You don't want health to also impede the progress and talent of Lloyd Cushenberry to allow him to get pushed back into the pocket. And I understand everybody's like, well, Cam Ward's got escapability and all this stuff. Yeah. That's fine, but escapability in college, it's a different level in the pros.
You said that.
Because, like, he can do some great stuff in college, but this is the pros. Everybody is faster. All those players you saw him play against in Miami, multiply that speed by like 5. And that's what you're going to get in the pros. So that pocket can collapse way quicker on a rookie quarterback who may not be up to snuff yet at the beginning of his career for the speed of the game. Because you got to understand, not only do people move physically faster, he may be a little mentally slower at the start until he adjusts to the game.
Yeah,
so all that escapability, all that improvisation has big question marks and asterisks to it. It's not just going to be like a complete 100% translation to the pro game.
How long do you think it should take for a quarterback? And it's really hard for me to say because every individual is so different. And, just the pressure of, you have success early or you have slow to processing information. I'm just wondering what coaches think when you see quarterbacks like that. And does he get grace because he is a rookie quarterback? If this does happen, they do draft Cam Ward.
Well, Bill Belichick's always kind of talked about the Thanksgiving mark is kind of when you kind of figure it out.
Kirby said, yeah.
And so I kind of think that that's where it's at, like an 8-week kind of thing, half a year. And listen, it may happen quicker, but basically you are what your record says you are by the time November rolls around. Like, that is your team. By the time November rolls around, that's pretty much your team's not going to improve. So it's either got to be really good, or if you're really bad, you're probably going to stay really bad. Very rarely do you see teams without a big philosophical change or big quarterback change, like the Tennessee Titans back in 2019. That changed the whole trajectory. But when you got a rookie quarterback and Brandon Allen backing him up, if by week 8, if you don't know how your season's looking, it's probably going to be whatever it is by that time, by Thanksgiving.
Just imagine this right now. I know times have changed through my era, but Steve McNair literally had 3 years.
Yeah.
He started a couple games one year, in a season. Then the next year kind of revved up even more than that third year. He wouldn't even been the late great McNair that we know in this day and age because they would have said one season is done.
He would have been Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. He would have been 1 year and done, or we're going to bring competition. He probably doesn't have it.
Or he would have had to learn trial by fire through a whole season instead of having the ability to sit on the bench. So it'll be very interesting. I want to pick this conversation back up because Cam Ward's getting a lot of comparisons to Steve McNair, and I don't really I don't really know about that. So let's talk about that when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
In the girls' 2A semifinal, and it is Westview leading Loretto 28-17. Good afternoon, I'm Lucas Panzica. The winner of this one will move on to the girls' 2A championship game to take on either Gatlinburg-Pittman or York Institute. Designated drivers are the real MVP. If you've been drinking, pass your keys to a sober friend. Fans, don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 105 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the conversation. Auburn leads Ole Miss 38-30 with less than 16 minutes left in the second half. We're here at Bridgestone Arena watching the NCAA men's tournament. Well, I'm sort of watching it. I can see Ole Miss's score, but I can't see and the time, but I can't see the score.
Well, that's because they have a curtain up there.
They got the curtain.
Yeah. They you navigated around that.
They're separating us from the crowd here.
Okay, watch this, Kirby. Could you explain why they have that curtain up right there? Explain why they have that curtain. I mean, like, they don't want people on the hallway or the lighting or something, or what is it?
Several.
Okay.
They don't want people that didn't pay to be able to be down in there to stand there and be able to watch the game. They don't want the distraction on the court of things moving in and out of your periphery up there. It's like football games. That's why that guy sits there at the usher at hockey was a wait, because they don't want anything moving around up there.
Oh, I got you.
That curtain opening up and down. Although when they opened it, it's like you opened a deep freeze door, all that air from the ice.
I'm going to just make one comment. You just tell me, what's the difference between that and the fans behind the baskets waving stuff?
Well, that's college kids. They expect that.
Okay, well, this is not affecting those guys.
Those guys are paid or supposed to be down there.
They did. NIL. They paid.
Upper Decker who's coming down here and sliding in, that's protected from.
Okay. I just,
People
I knew you would know.
He knows everything.
I know.
That's what I've learned in my short time here.
People like me. He definitely knows everything. Not saying he's right on all those, though.
So here's where I'm at on this Steve McNair, Cam Ward comparison.
Yeah.
So what happens is that people will find a clip of Cam Ward doing that thing where it's like, oh, you think he's sacked, but he's not sacked, and then he escapes the sack and goes the long way around and makes the throw, and then they'll play the Steve McNair clip of him doing the same thing at Alcorn State, where he's, dodging and everything, and then he goes, and man, they say, oh, perfect call. Guys, that is one play. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie that I've watched all 22 of Alcorn State from Steve McNair's time there.
I have not either.
But I can tell you that I think Cam Ward is a much more polished passer coming out of college than Steve McNair was, and has more experience in that regard, in my mind. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's what I feel like. He's more pro-ready out the gate, and maybe that's just the nature of the game today compared to the game back then. But I don't see, outside of them having these few plays that may overlap and mirror each other, I don't think that they're very similar, in my opinion.
Well, it's a different era, no doubt. You got 7-on-7. The players are much more prepared to come into the league and elevate sooner than later in the passing game. Naturally, the late great McNair was he was a fascinating player in that his power to run like a running back and then to be able to throw like Eric McNair was on a whole nother level. Maybe there's some similarities at times, based off of some little small things, but I don't think their games are the same. I think Cam Ward is much more a prolific passer coming out of college, and we could say he was Air McNair, but I meant, his stepping stones from going to different levels and different programs to be a little more accurate too. I don't think they're similar. Their styles are not similar. McNair, one thing I can say, they both play with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that, whether good play or bad play. So I've told numerous times, McNair, he's having a crappy day, and, he's coming over to the sideline probably at the middle of the second quarter, say, hey, man, I finally figured him out. Because I'm running on the field looking like, man, damn, how many more times y'all going to go 3-0, man? This is not cool, bro. And he's like, I got him. And I'm like, hey, there wasn't a time that he did not respond. So I think Cam Ward has something like that special about him. So we shall see if he can do that in the National Football League with the pace of the game and how quickly he can elevate his team and then also adjust to the speed of the game. There is an adjustment period. That's why we were talking about that a little bit. And I gave through, I'm not a quarterback, but naturally it took me 4 games where the game started slowing down and it looked like college again. I don't understand why some players, whether you went to Notre Dame or Alabama to Ball State, why some guys, it never catches in the game, never slows down to back to like when you were in college. So I couldn't tell you that, but it did happen. And I tell you one thing, my first game out there, I felt like things were moving so fast, it was the speed of light. And, it was like, I really have a long way to go. And then more experience, it shows you the more you play, the game can slow down. So hopefully that happens with Cam Ward sooner than later if the Titans take him. I always have to say that because we're making an assumption. Lines, tend to say that, but I don't know if that's what they're going to do. I haven't talked to anybody over there. And naturally, I wanted them to trade out, get multiple picks. Maybe they're not getting the offers they would like, or they just love Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And maybe that when you turn on the tape, you do see a lot of exciting things. You also see some things on the negative side of it. He's so confident in his play that I'm going to give it. He'll do a Levis play, and not to the elevation of what Levis did last year, but you would see that he thinks he can do the flip play and he can buy some time. And so I'm interested to see how well that works, and does he modify that a little bit sooner than later. And as a coach, you don't want to coach it out of him, but you want to say, hey, let's be secure with the ball. You're probably – and he's going to have his experiences now.
Right.
So we may have to go through somewhat what we did early on if they take Cam Ward, what Will Levis did with more upside and in between his brains. And that's what I'm saying is more of a quarterback-friendly type player than a guy who's a quarterback that can really play running back.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at what Steve McNair was. I mean, they're the same height pretty much. Cam Ward's like a couple of eighths of inch taller. He's a little bit less weight than what Steve McNair was. Yeah. But I just don't see, when you watched him play, I don't see those similarities enough to say that would be a pro comp.
No, I don't either.
And I think that's really – and now I do agree with you on this in the sense of the demeanor, the being able to go to someone, the leadership, the qualities that you kind of see, the gamer mentality. That's very similar.
Yeah, you definitely see
but
that.
you could say that about a lot of quarterbacks, right? You could say that Cam Ward's very similar to Joe Burrow in that way. Does not mean that he is Joe Burrow.
Right.
So, like, he has – I don't know if there's really a perfect pro comp for Cam Ward right now. I've seen people say Jordan Love. I've seen people say Lamar Jackson. I still kind of land on the Baker Mayfield kind of spectrum. I think he's a better version of Baker Mayfield coming out. But it's the way that he plays football. It's kind of like, he's a gamer. He's a little bit smaller than most of the quarterbacks that usually come out, kind of like Baker Mayfield was. But he's got more escapability. So, like, I don't know if there is a perfect one. It's like almost you have to make him Frankenstein's monster, right, of quarterbacks. Like, you have to take this part of this quarterback, this part of another quarterback to really get
he's his own guy. But that's what they do in the league. They want to make comparisons.
Yeah.
One thing that's what you said about some of the guys that are kind of close to him, it made me think about he plays fearless.
Yeah.
I want to say that. And then some people and, coaches will say that's reckless.
Yeah.
But it can benefit you, too, at the same time if you curtail it. And, let's go from the Brett Favre to super reckless to, the calming demeanor of, Peyton Manning, where, that he didn't play reckless. He would take the sack. He would, just fall down and say, hey, we lost this play, but we're going to win 9 out of 10 of these plays. So, a lot of people want their quarterback. And I think that's what Callahan wants. So, to me, Cam Ward is somewhat more leaning towards the fearless, which sometimes you have to curtail to a certain extent. You watch his game, and some throws you go, oh, man, why did you do that? And then he'll complete it. He's not going to be able to do that in the NFL.
Right.
That ball will not be completed.
I don't like pro comps. Am I weird for not liking pro comps?
Well, it's just the natural nature of the scouting departments, and that's what they do. I don't know about,
do you
fans.
think NFL teams do that?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
Yeah, I said in the rooms, they absolutely do. And
but is it more like that guy is Zach Wilson, or like if that guy, if he hits, he's this. If he doesn't hit, he's probably this. Do they do like a floor to ceiling kind of comp?
Well, they definitely do what his ceiling would be, but I think they say, he has similarities to this player.
Gotcha.
I don't think they say a guy is this guy.
Yeah.
No, I think they, So, I mean, that's always a comparison because you want to put in your mind, like, what do you envision him ultimately to be, let's say, as a quarterback in 3 years, 3-4 years? What will he be?
Yeah.
And we'll say, we hope he's this.
He's that guy. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, or let me throw this out there at you. You talked about earlier about how long should we expect a quarterback to adjust.
Yeah.
Okay. So in high school, Cam Ward averaged like 16 passes a game, maybe not even
right.
that.
He was in a running offense.
Yeah, he was in that wing T offense. Mm-hmm. Then he goes to Incarnate Word. Then he goes to Washington State. Then he goes and only spends 1 year at Miami where he catches on everything pretty quick. Do you think that experience, his particular path that he took in college, from high school all throughout college to get here to the pros, better prepares him to maybe adjust quicker than maybe most quarterbacks do? Because that is a lot of adjusting.
Because he had to adjust to different schemes.
Yeah,
and
different
systems.
schemes, systems, players.
I would say it helps him in that he can learn quickly.
Yeah.
It shows you right off the bat he understands offenses, and that's really all I'm concerned about, that he can catch on and his leadership skills, and for the players to buy in at that quarterback position, which is the most important, to do that. That's all I'm really going to say.
Yeah.
That I could. Yeah, that doesn't mean that. That he was going to do what you're saying. I'm not sure about that. I think until you see him playing a game, do you really know?
Well, I just say, do you think that benefits? Like that kind of
it definitely does. Yeah,
gives them kind of a step up.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it's a step above, but it shows that he can adapt to change pretty quickly. Let's say this. Let's just say the coach doesn't make it until halfway through the season. Then he has to go with another coach. I don't think you're saying, dang, he has to learn another offense.
Yeah.
Well, he learned 3 different offenses.
Right.
So I think you have a benefit there that you're not worried or concerned about his football IQ and running an offense, or making changes or adapting maybe even in games as a quarterback.
So I just saw a concerning stat.
What is that?
So this was on Lance Zierlein's NFL Draft Combine prospect profile on Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a concerning stat. I have not seen this stat anywhere.
What?
I may have missed it, but I have not seen this stat anywhere.
I'm thoroughly disappointed in you.
I know. I have to memorize all stats. Okay. He said completed just 39% of his passes inside the red zone in 2024. 39% inside the red zone. Now, he scored a lot, and sometimes he scored outside of the red zone, right? So, but when you hear that, and I don't know how that stacks up in the class. He doesn't put that up there, and I don't think I have access to PFF's. That's an advanced side of PFF I don't have access to. But when you hear that, how concerning is it that in the red zone it's 39%, or does it matter because he threw all the 30-plus passing touchdowns? So does it really freaking matter?
Well, yeah.
Maybe it matters in the NFL, right?
Well, first and foremost, I like to go back and look at the plays that were in the red zone. And, the dynamics of play calling for college coaches and pro coaches are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to design and what you're trying to do. Did he try to force plays? Were guys not open? Did he get pressure? I want to look for the reasoning behind that. And I want to look and see if it was consistent. You know how I love to be a film guy, just like you. And I would go back and look and see if this was consistent at Washington State and Incarnate Word, and look and see if the red zone was an issue. Regardless of who he's playing against, is it him? I want to say identify it's him in the red zone.
Yeah.
Or is it more so
these guys can't
the
get
players?
Open.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because it could be
pressure.
Because, people don't get open in a phone booth, right? Like you're looking for that kind of player.
I love the red zone because now I don't get exposed on my long running.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm 4-5 guy running with a 4-3 guy. Is not a. I don't want that to happen. So we're in the red zone. I love the red zone as a defensive player. I didn't really have to backpedal or do anything. And if you're quick to diagnose, things happen a lot faster in the red zone. So maybe that could have been an issue for him. He wasn't processing information fast enough. So those are the things I would look for. I don't know if you can hang your hat on that until you dive deep into the stats of or the plays of what was going on.
Yeah, it's just really interesting because I was looking to see if Lance Zierlein had a player comp or what he said about I was also looking for height and weight because I didn't know off the top of my head.
But I would definitely look into it, though. That is something that you know.
So that's something that I put on the radar for when I get into my draft prospect. After free agency clears, I'll have more time to watch film. Now I'm going to get into that, and now I'm going to be like, okay, now I got to find all the red zone plays.
Watch this. So what would have been a bad play for him if he threw it away and nobody was open? But that goes into that percentage.
Oh, see,
that happened
true.
A lot.
Because think about. Oh my God, why am I blanking?
Or if he forced it and then it's a pick. Oh no, he threw it away.
I'm blanking on the route.
What, a 7 route? Or?
No, the route that the fade. What if it's a fade and he just overshoots the fade a little bit or something like that? Or it's a pass breakup and it counts as an incompletion.
Right.
Is it a pass breakup because the wide receiver didn't hold on to the ball? So all that stuff matters. So that is a good point. So really, Lance Zierlein putting that in there is good to note, but without context, what good is it?
Right.
Because we didn't get any context.
Right. Yeah. So but it definitely is a stat that you want to dig deep into.
Yeah.
Because I like that number and like, oh wow, I wouldn't have guessed that. Just based off watching film, let's go back.
Yeah, because it doesn't even give us the number of attempts either.
Right.
So, again, what good is this kind of information on its own really this should be like more of a, instead of being under weaknesses,
have some backup things to
being
support
more,
it.
except for being under weaknesses, it should be under like a footnote, things to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
You know, because it does say like he's too willing to work out of structure and play hero ball. I don't know if that's necessary. It is a weakness, but not a weakness, right? Like, because you kind of need, in today's NFL, you need out of structure plays.
Yes.
Especially behind certain offensive lines, is all across the league.
But long he's not reckless.
Yeah.
And there's times where you see him being a little reckless.
Yeah.
I mean, I went back and watched film, a month ago when I thought, oh, this is a possibility when they first started talking about drafts, and Cam Ward ended up being, the number one quarterback. So there are, some times out there you go, no, and it works in his favor. I don't think that's going to happen in the NFL. And so I'm interested to see how that plays out. But there are so many other positives in his arm talent that you say, and his IQ and his confidence and his leadership and moving from school to school. You just kind of say, he's still the best guy.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
And you got to think, a lot of these quarterbacks that were successful in college pretty instantly were successful at really good programs, but were successful in high school as passing quarterbacks, right? Like they would break some state record or something. And Cam Ward never had that opportunity. So infamously, it was said that like Cam Ward, when he got to Incarnate Word, because he was a 0-star recruit, right? That really means, the reason I bring that up is not to ding Cam Ward. I find it to be a pro that he's gone from a 0-star recruit to a first overall pick, potentially.
Yeah, because that means he put the work in.
He put the work in. He went in that day to Incarnate Word and said, teach me how to play quarterback. I want to play quarterback for you guys. I want to be the best quarterback I can be.
Well, they might have also known something that we didn't know, that he could throw the ball. It was just the system and product that he was in high school, which is kind of the offense I ran. I played running back, and our quarterback actually couldn't throw. See, so you don't know if a guy can actually really throw, or, college-level thrower or not, if he's only throwing, 15 times a game.
Yeah.
When he's probably ran more than he probably threw.
50 fumbles, does that bother you over his college careers?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that I did not know that.
Yeah. He has over 80-something turnovers in his college career as a whole.
I do
now,
not like
he really cut it down in the final year.
Watch this. Was it because of the size of his hands?
No, I don't think so.
No, I'm just kidding.
But, what I'm saying is, in the final year, he's improved every year, and maybe this is all really backloaded, but 50 fumbles is hard to ignore as well.
Wow. I got to go back and look at that, man, because that I do not like that. That 39%
That's a wild
was
stat.
one.
When I first saw that, I was like, is that true? And that's true.
And that leads down to my recklessness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means he's not protecting the football. Obviously, people were going after it, and then once that happens over and over again, then people target the ball.
Yeah.
I remember this one time I get a sack, and I'm jumping up doing my little cowboy dance, and we're watching film. This is coaches all day long. What the heck are you, they didn't say that, but are you dancing for?
Yeah.
They still have the ball. You should have got the ball. The object is to get the ball. He set it right there out there for you to get. And you didn't even attempt to get it. And from that day on, every time I went for a sack, I'm going after the rock.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, he showed this, and then he continued on, and probably because of his talents and he's in college, nobody's really addressing it. They're just, hey, we're moving forward, and, they don't harp on it, and you got to protect football at all costs.
Yeah.
We just went through that.
Right.
And watch this. What's the comparable comp? Mr. Stat
All
Guy.
right, listen.
Between Will Levis's fumble.
You ain't going to get here and say anything.
No,
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Oh, it must. Levis's must be better.
You're not going to trick me into saying anything with Will Levis and Cam Ward. Because it's going to get. Jackson's going to clip it off and use it on me.
That's right. But I'm not really trying to. But it is a comparable, and you can just look at it for 1 year, okay? And we all know Levis had turnover issues.
Yeah.
But I want to look at defining. Was it more fumbles? We all knew his interceptions.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the fumbles.
Yeah. When we come back, we'll get you guys updated on the current score. We also will talk about the salary cap space the Tennessee Titans have. Some of the contract numbers have come in today. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 105 The Zone.
quarter in Murfreesboro, and Westview is closing in on a spot in the girls 2A state championship game. Good afternoon, I'm Lucas Panzica. 54-34 is the Westview lead over Loretto. If they can close it out, they'll head to the final to take on the winner between Gatlinburg-Pittman and York Institute. Drunk driving is the ultimate form of unsportsmanlike conduct. Fans, don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by all four-season garage doors. 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the conversation. And I did look up, haven't looked up where, I can't remember where I found it, but I looked up a tweet from earlier this year where I talked about his fumbles and career interceptions. Now, this is not fumbles lost, by the way.
Right,
this is just fumbles.
Gotcha.
So fumbles lost may be a different number than
Lower
just
number.
regular fumbles. But he has fumbled the ball 50 times in his career, had thrown, at the time of this tweet, 37 interceptions.
So over 5
87
years.
turnovers over all the years of college, including Incarnate Word.
Dang, that does seem a little high. I know we don't have good internet, we're in the arena.
I'm trying to, I think I got it on the Fox Sports website, which is also a crappy website anyway, even when your internet is working, but that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, Banana said that would be 17 turnovers or fumbles a year.
Right. So it was a lot. Now it went down, but it was a lot of interceptions and a lot of fumbles. Now all of them were lost again. So that's got to make sure to clarify that.
Man, I'm cool with the interceptions, but the lost fumbles, and all of it. Now watch him, and I say about the reckless is because he's about to run or he thinks he's looking downfield. He's gotten, he'll take the ball down instead of, put it in his pocket. Man, so wow. I hope that is. I hope that number is way lower as far as lost fumbles, but still they are fumbles.
Fumbles are fumbles, aren't they?
I do not like that one.
Yeah, I mean, I love that we're not near the Orange Crush, but our internet sucks today. So I just want to throw that out there.
I wanted to be next to the Orange Crush and get some free
Yeah.
Orange Crush. And by the way, I think it was a basketball thing or something you could do.
Yeah.
Or it was Verizon. Yeah, Verizon was doing some basketball stuff there.
So just real quick to catch everybody up, because this will be the last segment of the show because we're at the SEC men's basketball tournament. We're currently Auburn leads Ole Miss 49-46 with under 6 minutes left to go in the second half. Then there will be the University of Tennessee pregame show here. You catch it on 105 The Zone. That'll take you into the University of Volunteers basketball game later today. But just to get everybody real quick, I want to update people on the cap space for the Tennessee Titans. Now, here's the thing. I don't know where they rank right now because not all of the contracts are coming in.
Right.
So not all of the contracts are final. But right now, the fifth, according to Spotrac, they're ranked fifth in overall cap space, but they still don't have the Dan Moore contract done yet. As far as the numbers have been turned into these websites.
Okay.
He's signed, but none of the numbers have been turned in. So we don't have everybody's cap hits in yet. Cody Barton signed a 3-year, $21 million deal. His signing bonus was just $5.16 million, so not bad. That's spread out over the 3 years of his contract. And then you have $9 million in fully guaranteed money, and that's his total guarantees as well. So there's no extra incentives. It's just $9 million. So not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad.
See, that's why I said they did a great job of structuring these contracts.
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job actually filling holes without breaking the bank besides your guy, Dan Moore Jr., which I think,
Right.
it got on the market, and it was kind of, we're desperate. If we don't get this guy, who are we going to get?
Yeah.
And they already had their plan. They showed us about they wanted to move Latham to right. And it seems as though they're trying to fix a lot of things that Rand Carthon had snafus on.
Yeah. Now that for sure is happening. We talked about that last night on Football and Other Efforts. Me and Stoney did about how, man, it sure seems that like everything they're doing sure does seem like they're erasing the sins of the past.
Well, I said this on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
we talked about it again last. I had to get a little. That's the one chance I had to get a promotion.
Yeah, that was. I think, and when you say that, it's because Latham was a left tackle. Now they moved him to right tackle, that's what he played in college. Played left in high school. He's one of the top recruits in the country. And then he signed Murray. Traded for Murray. Now they got rid of Murray, and then hence the quarterback Levis. So which is the big one. So those are all big moves that they've kind of said we're going to correct. Autocorrect.
There you go. So, talking about then he's got a $4 million cap hit this year, $8 million next year, $8 million a year after that. So now he's never going to cost you a ton of money. Okay, so that's the good thing. Now, let's get into the cap hits of some of the other contracts that have came in. Then I can update everybody on where they're at in cap space. Kevin Zeitler, basically $9 million cap hit. Sebastian Joseph Day, $6.5 million cap hit. Johnny Hecker, Morgan Cox, and Brandon Allen are all $1.2 million each. And then Coburn and Reese are all $1.03 million. And that puts the Titans right now, while we're waiting on other contracts to come in. Top 51 cap space is roughly around $54.6 million. But if you take in the account of the draft class, they're going to be at $46.7 million roughly in cap space. So lots of money to spend and all that. We're out of time.
I know, man. I wanted to ask you a quick question.
I know.
Where do you rank the Titans right now in their free agent signings?
Like a grade?
I'll give them a grade.
C.
C
plus maybe.
All right, C plus. I'm with you.
All right, that will do it for us. No 3HL today, but you do have the University of Tennessee pregame show. Then the 3HL will be on after the game for the University of Tennessee to kind of cover everything off and talk about that there. Of course, this is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime...
And in between time, peace.
We've got the trucks, all the trims, all the towing, all the bells and whistles, and all at Truck Month Savings. Two Rivers Ford is Ford Truck Central.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.